A couple of years ago, we got our first land project in Africa, in Lesotho. Our North American colleagues within our business are very active implementing land solutions in the Caribbean. But Lesotho was our first land project out of this office in Africa, and that was quite quickly followed by our project in Malawi, which is a significantly more complicated project than Lesotho. And it's a pleasure to have the Surveyor General of Malawi here today, who's going, Brian Chisi, and he's going to be presenting with Kali. Over to you, SG and Kali.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm working. Thank you, James.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Trust that everyone is doing fine. Over the last couple of years, I've got to work on some really exciting and unique projects. Namibia certainly is one of those, and this afternoon I get to present on the Malawi Land Information Management System, also abbreviated to LIMS. I'm also quite honored to be presenting with the Surveyor General for Malawi. Today we have a really good Malawi delegation that's present here as well. I've broken this up into 6 sections. It's quite a substantial project. We're pretty much still on it, but I wanted to touch on the importance of a land information system or a land cadastre system, why we do these type of systems in the first place, before I jump into an actual overview. We'll then touch on system design, system architecture, and the workflows, data capture and conversion, which is a huge part of this project, so a couple of screenshots on the prototype system, and then Mr. Chisi will be speaking about looking ahead and the way forward. So it's essentially been a week of the mining Indaba. We've had some great mining cadastre presentations this morning, and I just wanted to get us back into the land space a little in a very general way before we actually deep dive into the Malawi project. So just some important points as to answering mainly the why question as to why we do this type of implementations. Land is the most important resource for many developing countries. The sustainable development goals include economic growth, gender equality, land access to women, a number of different points, and land is instrumental to that. Land access and secure rights are linked to reduced conflict, economic growth, and poverty reduction. It has pretty much a direct relationship in many ways. Land issues are quite complex and requires a multifaceted, flexible approach. So in other words, what applies in, say, Australia might not apply for an African country, and we need to work collaboratively to ensure that we map that out correctly. We've seen Landfolio's capability on various presentations this morning, and when I speak about flexible approach, Landfolio and our back office solution needs to be flexible, to adapt to the climate, to be able to future-proof and adapt to any future changes that may come out of laws and regulations. An implementation like this brings together a number of different institutions, legal frameworks, standards, and procedures. We've heard terms of land management and land administration this morning on Carolyn's presentation, Vasu's presentation, and so forth, and that's been interchangeable, but ultimately all of that's governed by the land policy set in the country. That dictates how land management on a strategic level is carried about, and administration on an operation level, the various departments. In the Malawi context, we are doing this project for the Malawi Ministry of Lands, and that would involve various different offices that carry out things like land value, land use, land tenure, and that all fits together into an actual full-blown system. It's important to know that all of that is basically, in order for that to run smoothly, we require land governance, good land governance. And by that, what I mean is the rules, the decisions, the structures in place to ensure that the structure moves correctly. Now I'll jump into a quick project overview. We've undertaken this project for the Malawi Ministry of Lands. In a nutshell, there's 3 key departments within that ministry. The Department of Lands, Department of Survey, which the Surveyor General heads up, and the Department of Physical Planning. A key part of this project is transitioning from this manual paper-based system, we've heard that word a couple of times this morning as well, to a fully integrated, automated land information management system, modern solution. Another unique aspect of this project is the use of key local experts within Malawi. This involves gender experts, this involves legal land lawyers, surveyors, and a number of people collaborating with our project team to fulfill this project. What constitutes the land information management system in a nutshell is a full back office system, Landfolio, and an eGov portal. Plus, we're leveraging open source software and services to ensure that all departments' needs are met. The hosting of LIMS will be done at the central office in Lilongwe, and the intention is for rollout and capacity building to the regions within the north and south. Now, we undertook this project back towards the latter part of 2021. And as many of you know, 2021 was a very challenging time in the midst of COVID. It's a lengthy project, but we've done exceptionally well since then in finishing a number of phases. Now, these months don't actually tally up to 20 months because a lot of these are running concurrently and parallel. We've essentially done with the development phase at this stage, and data capture is ongoing. I'll touch on that a little later, but we've made really good strides. Thereafter, we just have the UAT and training phase to go, and then the ministry can start to prepare for go live and launch earlier this year. So I'll just touch on the overall system architecture of how LIMS has been envisioned. In a nutshell, we have Landfolio back office and the eGov portal, all of which with its own logic and workflows and processes that have been configured according to the ministry requirements. Thereafter, we have a KPI dashboard. Now that's that's similar but different to what Isabel has presented. Here we're leveraging open source software to create a nice management dashboard for management to be able to make key decisions. And then we're doing a number of integrations, a DPO payment gateway integration for people to make land payments and ground rent payments and various other payments online. And we're integrating and connecting with other external government organizations like the MRA, which is the Malawi Revenue Authority, the NRB, which is the National Registration Bureau, and we're making use of Mazda players. So that's a granular level. On a high level, it looks something like this. We've got the land information management system. We've got the internal user database in the Department of Lands, Department of Physical Planning and Survey, and we're making use of external connectors with other government agencies. Now, I did show the discovery. I did show the project scope and phases. We had an inception phase and a discovery phase. That was quite unique, where we spent a lot of time on the ground, working with the ministry, working with the team, trying to establish what the existing situation is like at the ministry, what the existing processes are, mapping out that. And here we made use of the local experts on the project as well. So we made use of the local land lawyer to go through all the business processes that are existing, making sure that they're adhering to the legal framework. We want to build a LIMS system that's adhering to that. We kept it quite simple, using Excel spreadsheets, detailing as much as possible with the end user. Those Excel spreadsheets then become workflow diagrams. We spent a lot of sessions with the ministry, going through workflows, going through workflow reviews, workshops, until we get it exactly to how we need it. Thereafter, those get configured in the back office system. All our workshops were very, very collaborative. Each session that we had, And that's thanks to the management team that are here today for facilitating this. I'd like them to just get a round of applause before I move forward. Thank you. We'll now touch on one of the bigger phases in the project, which is data capture and conversion. I just want everyone to keep this in the back of their mind, that we've got vast registries in Malawi that's hosting or housing land records from 90, 100 years back. So some of these papers are very fragile, and data conversion and capture is quite a mammoth task in many ways. But we've made some great progress. The emphasis on hard copy records, scanning and indexing of these records. Again, when you're scanning, you've got to be very fragile with these type of things, which is why we collaborated with the ministry to guide us. We also agreed upon a data conversion methodology, which took up a lot of time, making sure how we scan, how we index, and how we put these files back in appropriate manner and order. A big emphasis on quality control, because that data is meant to make its way into the LIMS database. And if we can pick up errors and issues in the very beginning, we're able to rectify it and therefore prevent importing erroneous data. We've got weekly tracking and monitoring that's taking place, and QC, which has been very, very important for the project. Just to put into perspective, these are a couple of screenshots. This is an example of a survey map drawing done by cartographers within the survey department. It's all hand-drawn. It's all using tracing paper at the moment, which is why we're going into a LIMS management system where things can be automated. We're leveraging technology and software. This is what a land registry looks like. We've got multiple files and boxes in places, each with vast amounts of paper, keeping a record from many, many years ago. That's a photo of an application book in which the ministry uses to cross-reference. I'm sure many of you can see at this stage that opens the room to issues and errors and a number of other things that could pop up. Sticking on data capture, once that information is captured on the ground by the team that's indexing and scanning, that gets merged onto a nice spreadsheet. Prior to that, though, we've had to do a lot of data mapping to make sure those fields have a home in Landfolio. They've got a reasonable place where we can map it to Landfolio. So we've got nice, neat spreadsheets. And then we've got scanned, that's an example of a scanned document to go with that record. Thereafter, that information gets imported. All the fields that we mapped out, all those fields that are available on that spreadsheet, makes its way into the appropriate land record. We spoke about structured data. We're making use in many cases here in Malawi because we have a lot of land-related detail that needs fields. A couple of quick screenshot items here on our prototype system. This is a screenshot of Landfolio. I will say one of the key things on a project like this, where you're working with different departments, each with its own land-related laws, regulations, one of the key parts is establishing the data model. That took a lot of time initially to ensure that all departments are catered for on the single solution, and we're able to manage and map their workflows. In many ways, they work in isolation, but at the same time, they also collaborate. So that took a lot of time, and I'm happy that we came up with the appropriate data model and all the relevant fields and dates that are required for such a project are here. This is just a couple of quick screenshots on the eGov portal that goes with this and forms the LIMS. These are login pages. A person is able to apply for leases and other land-related objects. They're able to search for it. They have portfolio pages. They're able to track and stay up to date. We've got notifications in place to ensure that people are up to date on their records. This is how the KPI dashboard looks like. Here we're leveraging open source software called Grafana. This becomes quite important for the Malawi management team as data gets populated, and they're looking forward to making key decisions on revenue recognition and deciphering statistics. I'll now pass it over to the Surveyor General to touch on a few points looking ahead and wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Kale. Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take you through looking ahead, but I'll start with. Okay. I'll start with challenges we faced and the solutions we applied to make sure that we have progress. So first of all, we experienced challenges in that we had delays in procurement of hardware. So at that time, we wanted to start data capturing. So what we did, we mobilized some resources from other projects and from some offices within the ministry. Issues to do with the computers, scanners, we made them available to the data capturing team, and the work started. The other challenge we experienced was, and is still there, internet connectivity. All government departments and ministries are connected to what we call Government Wide Area Network, GWAN. Our regional offices are not, up to now, not yet connected to the GWAN. So what we have done is we've currently engaged a consultant who is currently working on that to make sure that all offices are connected to GWAN, so that when time comes for us to deploy the land information management system, all offices are connected. The rate of data capture and conversion has been slower than what we expected, but currently we have increased the number of officers working on that. We have engaged interns, so the rate has changed. We are now capturing data at a faster rate. Standardization of processes. The challenge is that in regional lands offices in our country, regional lands offices are using different processes and procedures in land transactions. So through land information management system, we came up through engineered business processes, we came up with the standard version, which we want all the departments, all the offices to use. The ministry or the country now, we are coming up with the land-related laws, and we are drafting regulations. Now, LIMS has assisted in identifying gaps, which we have used in coming up with new regulations as well as amendments in the laws. Now coming to, we've got the deed registry as well as land registry. The ministry at the moment we are doing what we call decentralization. Some of the functions of the ministry will be decentralized to local government at a district level. So we are opening up some offices, regional or district lands registries, to ensure that at least we provide services to the general public at that level. Now coming up to the current tasks, what we are doing currently, we have just received the RIMS hardware, computers, scanners. So we are currently distributing these to all the offices to make sure that all the equipment is replaced with new equipment in preparation for RIMS. We are also reviewing And the consultant has just submitted the final development phase report. So we'll review it, identify the gaps, areas of challenge, and then the consultant is expected to address those challenges, gaps, perfect the report before we accept it. The system deployment into newly procured ministry servers. The servers we have received are ready for that, so we expect by next week our IT specialists from Trimble, as well as working together with the IT specialists within the ministry to install the servers in preparation for the deployment of the system. System review and acceptance. We will review the system and we will use the available information, the available data to check, identify the gaps, challenges. These gaps and challenges will be looked at by our consultant to make sure that everything is perfect in readiness for deployment of the system. Now for the plan for the system to go live and launch, there is high expectation in Malawi, starting from the High Office and the general public, looking forward to this land information management system. The expectation is that the system is going to improve the delivery of land administration in Malawi. So in preparation for that, the ministry is going to officially launch the system, and we are going to use that moment also to sensitize the general public on LIMS. Looking ahead, we are looking forward to the successful implementation of the land information management system to ensure that we have improved delivery of services in as far as land administration is concerned. We are looking forward to the increased collection of revenue, as now revenue will be paid through the system. We are also looking forward to train our staff in terms of managing the system. Decentralization, I've already talked about it. We are going to open up register offices throughout the country, starting with the district, 2 districts in each of the 4 regions, like Kalonga and Katabe in the north, Chikwawa and Mlanje in the south. We will increase capturing of data until all the information is captured and populated into the system. We have talked about integration of other systems. We are also intending to integrate stakeholder systems, starting with the mining cadastro. It is very important that mining cadastro is integrated with the RIMS, because you issue a license to an individual on a land parcel. At the same time, we issue a lease to an individual on a land parcel. So when a mining license is issued and a lease is issued at one land parcel, the expectation is that one of the 2 has to vacate the land. But in most cases, it is the one who is given a lease, because the miner who wants that land will dig holes to extract minerals. So what we want is the 2 systems to be talking to each other, the mining cadastro and the land information management system, so that authorities should know what is happening and be able to sort out our problems, issues to do with the compensation for the one who is vacating the land, issues to do with allocation of land parcel so that at least he continues with his day-to-day life. So thank you very much. This is our presentation.